This is the lake we call home to one of nature's most fascinating creatures, the axolotl. Hello, I'm Shafik, and I'm on a mission to uncover all the hidden wonders that our planet's ecosystems have kept secret. And one of those secrets lies in the heart of Mexico City, in a place called Lake Xochimilco. Now, as someone who's spent more hours than I'd like to admit peering into aquariums and wading through wetlands, I think I'm qualified to talk about this. So come with me into the murky waters of Lake Xochimilco and discover the native home of the axolotl, nature's own real-life Pokemon. You know, when I first heard about axolotls, I couldn't believe such a creature existed. I mean, have you ever seen one? They look like they've stepped right out of a cartoon. With their perpetual smile, feathery external gills, and ability to regenerate lost limbs, they're like the superheroes of the amphibian world. But here's the kicker. These amazing creatures are critically endangered in their natural habitat. It's like having a unicorn in your backyard and realizing it's the last one on Earth. So, let's dive into Lake Xochimilco, shall we? It's not just any lake, mind you. It's a complex system of canals and wetlands that's been around since the time of the Aztecs. Imagine Venice, but with a distinctly Mexican flavor and a lot more salamanders. This place is to axolotls what the Serengeti is to lions, their natural stomping ground, or should I say swimming ground. Now, picture this. You're gliding along in a colorful trajinera, one of those flat-bottomed boats that are as iconic to Xochimilco as gondolas are to Venice. The air is filled with the sound of mariachi music drifting from nearby boats, and the smell of street food wafts across the water. But beneath the surface, there's a whole other world going on. That's where our star, the axolotl, takes center stage. Axolotls, or Ambystoma mexicanum if you want to get fancy, have called Lake Xochimilco home for thousands of years. They're not just any salamander, they're neotenic, which means they keep their juvenile features throughout their lives. It's like they found the fountain of youth and decided to set up camp there. Can you imagine if humans could do that? We'd all be running around with our baby teeth and big heads, regenerating limbs like it's no big deal. But why Lake Xochimilco? What makes it so special? Well, it's all about the ecosystem, folks. This lake provides the perfect conditions for axolotls to thrive, or at least it used to. The water is naturally cool and rich in nutrients, with plenty of hiding spots among the aquatic plants. It's like nature designed the perfect axolotl playground. Let me paint you a picture of what life is like for an axolotl in Lake Xochimilco. They spend their days cruising through the water, using their feathery external gills to breathe. These gills aren't just functional, they're like a fancy headdress that would make any showgirl jealous. And when it comes to dinner time, axolotls aren't picky eaters. They'll munch on just about anything they can fit in their mouths. Small fish, worms, insects, and even smaller axolotls. Talk about a family feud. But here's where things get a bit grim. The axolotl population in Lake Xochimilco has been declining faster than my enthusiasm for kale smoothies. And trust me, that's saying something. In the 1980s, you could find about 6,000 axolotls per square kilometer in the lake. Today? You'd be lucky to find one or two. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, except the needle is adorable and can regrow its limbs. So, what's causing this drastic decline? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a perfect storm of environmental issues. First off, there's pollution. Mexico City is huge, and all those people and industries produce a lot of waste. Some of that ends up in Lake Xochimilco, turning the axolotl's crystal clear paradise into a murky mess. It's like someone dumped a giant mud pie into their bathtub. Then there's habitat loss. As Mexico City has grown, it's encroached on the lake. Imagine if your house kept shrinking every year. That's what's happening to the axolotls. The canals are being filled in. The wetlands drained. It's like playing a game of Tetris where the blocks keep disappearing, but instead of points, you're losing axolotls. And let's not forget about invasive species. Someone thought it would be a great idea to introduce African tilapia, an Asian carp, to the lake. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. These fish compete with axolotls for food and sometimes even snack on axolotl eggs and young. It's like inviting a bunch of rowdy guests to a party and watching them eat all the food and trash the place. But don't despair just yet. There are people working hard to save the axolotls and their home. Scientists and conservationists are like the avengers of the amphibian world, assembling to protect these unique creatures. They're setting up captive breeding programs, working on cleaning up the lake, and even creating axolotl shelters, protected areas in the lake where axolotls can live and breed safely. One of the coolest initiatives is the creation of chinampas, artificial islands made from mud and aquatic vegetation. These provide safe havens for axolotls, away from predators and pollution. It's like building little axolotl condos right in the middle of the lake. Talk about lakefront property. There's also a big push for education. After all, you can't save what you don't know about. Schools in Mexico City are teaching kids about axolotls and the importance of protecting Lake Xochimilco. It's like having a real-life Pokemon as your school mascot. Who wouldn't get excited about that? But here's the thing, saving the axolotls isn't just about preserving a cool-looking creature, it's about maintaining the balance of an entire ecosystem. Axolotls play a crucial role in the food web of Lake Xochimilco. They're both predator and prey, helping to keep populations of smaller aquatic creatures in check while also serving as food for larger animals. Remove the axolotls, and you might as well be pulling out the Jenga piece that makes the whole tower collapse. And let's not forget about the cultural significance. Axolotls have been part of Mexican culture for centuries. The Aztecs considered them a delicacy, and even named one of their gods Xolotl after them. Today, they're a symbol of Mexico City, appearing on everything from t-shirts to murals. Losing the axolotl would be like Paris losing the Eiffel Tower. It's unthinkable. There's also the potential medical benefits. Remember how I mentioned that axolotls can regenerate lost limbs? Well, scientists are studying this ability in the hopes of developing new treatments for humans. Imagine if we could regrow lost limbs or repair damaged organs. It would be like having a superpower. And all thanks to these smiling salamanders. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sarah, you're saying, this all sounds great, but what can I do? I'm not a scientist or a conservationist. Well, fear not, my friend. There are plenty of ways you can help. First off, spread the word. Share this video, tell your friends about axolotls and Lake Xochimilco. The more people know, the more they'll care. If you're ever in Mexico City, consider taking an eco tour of Lake Xochimilco. There are guides who can show you around the lake and teach you about its ecosystem. Just make sure to choose a responsible tour operator who respects the environment. And please, whatever you do, don't try to take an axolotl home as a souvenir. They belong in the lake, not in your suitcase. You can also support organizations that are working to protect axolotls and their habitat. There are several NGOs and research institutions dedicated to axolotl conservation. A quick internet search will give you plenty of options. Even a small donation can make a big difference. And here's a wild idea. Why not adopt an axolotl? No, I don't mean bringing one home to live in your bathtub. Some conservation programs offer symbolic adoptions where your donation goes towards protecting axolotls in the wild. It's like having a pet, but without the responsibility of feeding it or cleaning its tank. Plus, you get the satisfaction of knowing you're helping to save a species. Lastly, remember that what happens in your own backyard can affect ecosystems halfway around the world. Be mindful of your environmental impact. Reduce your use of plastics, properly dispose of chemicals, and support sustainable practices. It might not seem like much, but every little bit helps. It's like the butterfly effect, but with axolotls. As we wrap up our journey through Lake Xochimilco, I hope you've gained a new appreciation for these amazing creatures and their unique habitat. The axolotl might look like a creature from a fantasy world, but its struggle is very real. It's up to us to ensure that future generations can experience the wonder of seeing an axolotl in its natural habitat. So the next time you see a picture of an axolotl with its goofy grin and frilly gills, remember that behind that smile is a species fighting for survival. And remember Lake Xochimilco, the place they call home. It's more than just a body of water. It's a complex ecosystem, a piece of history, and a reminder of the incredible diversity of life on our planet. That's it for this video. Let me know in the comments below what you think about axolotls and Lake Xochimilco. Have you ever seen an axolotl in person? Or maybe you have a favorite endangered species you'd like me to cover in a future video. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of axolotls, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel for more explorations of the world's most fascinating ecosystems. A big thank you to my Patreon supporters for making videos like this possible. If you'd like to support the channel and help me continue uncovering nature's hidden wonders, check out the link in the description. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your feet wet. You never know what amazing creatures you might discover. Goodbye.